different today on the What's Packing Sports Show. Typically, I only stream live on game day. And then last week, or really just a couple of days ago on Sunday night, I did 2 streams in a day. And I kind of liked how that was. And I was thinking about how I'm going to be designing my channel, this show, because I don't want to I want it to actually be a show, so to speak. Like, I am a network. So I've been thinking about how I'm going to do my content, how I'm going to make my content. And I really do like going live. I want to push the live aspect of my channel, my content. And I decided that instead of shooting my videos separately off camera, off live, and then uploading them to YouTube. Where's my chat thing at? Uploading this to YouTube like later. I'm gonna actually stream live, and then I'm gonna edit down that live stream into separate little clips, man. And we'll see how things go. I'm starting out. I'm new, and if you don't, nothing beats a failure, as my mother likes to say, but a try. And I'm learning that, and I'm starting to internalize that failure is a part of success. And if you actually don't fail, then you can never succeed. So we're going to try this and see what happens. But before we get into any of the topics today and I discuss what I'm going to be talking about, I want you guys to please subscribe to the channel on my YouTube. It's What's Packing Sports Show. You got to type the whole thing in, because if you just type in What's Packing, some RuPaul drag race, what you're packing, or some shit is going to pop up. So please type in What's Packing Sports Show. I should be the only What's Packing Sports Show. Subscribe, thumbs up all my videos, because all of my videos are good, bro. If you haven't watched them yet, they're good. They're all good. I put a lot of time and energy into making these cool graphics and trying to give you something visually appealing, at the same time something that is informative. And I'm also starting to think about branching into other topics that still somehow connect to the Packers or just interest me, even though it's primarily a Packers show and I want it to be primarily Packers. But I had a really cool conversation with this kid the other day, broken ankles, when I got on stream, and he's a Lions fan, and I really do just enjoy talking all things football. I have a lot of opinions, and I had another interesting conversation with a Philadelphia friend of mine's. We watched the Browns-Ravens game last night, and we were talking about the Jets, and I was talking about Lawrence, and we were talking about Darnold. And I don't know, I just had a couple of interesting things I wanted to touch on today. So as I was saying, hit that notification bell too, like my video, subscribe to the channel, and please leave me some comments down below. I really do appreciate that. All right, so today I'm going to do a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk Aaron Jones and the contract situation. There was some news last night regarding this that kind of shook up Packers Twitter a little bit. I feel like people are torn. Me, myself, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion, but I'm not going to, we're going to get into that to a little bit in a second. And then, I do want to actually talk about this, the NFC North as a whole, just sort of what I think about the NFC North, how it's, played out, revisit some of the talk that people were having in the beginning of the year, that the Packers were going to take a step back and that it was time for the Lions or the Bears or the Vikings or somebody else to assume the top dog of the North, where, hey, we're not even finished with the season. We still got 3 weeks left, and the Packers have already clinched the playoff spot, and they've already secured the NFC North title for a second year in a row. Then I'm going to do my pedestals of power, which is how I do my power rankings. Week 14 is officially in the books, and I'm going to let you know who I think the best teams in the NFL are. And we're going to talk Marquez Valdez Scantling, and who I believe to be the best rookie from this class, at least offensively, Justin Jefferson. Because we all know the Packers have been in the news for, they were in the media cycle, and they really have been all year. It's been a narrative that the media has pushed about the lack of production at wide receiver after Davante Adams, the lack of talent after Davante Adams. And now Allen Lazard is starting to get a little bit of play, but I feel like fans and media members alike, we are kind of torn on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but everyone sees the new rising darling star of the NFL, I feel like you can say, is Justin Jefferson. He really has impressed a lot of people with what he was able to do. The chat is waiting for new messages. Well, somebody fucking message me. Anyways. And then, I think, and then the last thing I want to touch on is, the Jets, what they might do with the number 1 overall pick, and what I think, or I guess like a fantasy scenario in my head about that whole situation, Trevor Lawrence, and really just rookie quarterbacks in general. I have an interesting, I guess it kind of sounds pretentious to call your own ideas interesting, but I just, from a lot of the conversations that I hear people have when it comes to football and football and in particular, like quarterback evaluation and stuff like that, and drafting and developing and, I guess managing a team and whatever else, I just feel like my take is a little different, and I want to share that with you guys. So let's just get into the show, man. First topic of the day, Aaron Jones. If you haven't heard, he's in the 4th year of his deal, which means since he wasn't drafted in the first round, there is no more deal. After this year, he will be a free agent, unrestricted to do whatever he wants to do, to go wherever he wants to go, and to try to make as much money as he can. And look, I think this dude, talent-wise, is a top 7, maybe top 5 running back in the NFL. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, for my money, is probably 1. Then I would say, because he's so versatile, right? Alvin Kamara, he's got the best balance I've ever seen from a running back, which is very important. He has excellent vision. He has game-breaking speed. He's a physical runner. He can also catch passes. He can catch 70 passes out of the backfield and get you another handful of touchdowns that way. So he really can do everything. He got big money, and he deserves to be one of the top highest paid running backs in the league. Christian McCaffrey has been hurt a lot recently. I mean, he's only 3 years into his career, and he hasn't played really any all this season. So, I mean, I would like to see him come back healthy. Same for Barkley. Guy has been in the league 2 years and hasn't finished a full season. So, I mean, I'm availability, while it's not the best or the greatest ability, it is an important ability. And if you can't be available to your team, I don't know how valuable you are to the team. So I would say Derrick Henry is my second graded or second best running back in the NFL. He's clearly like the most physical. He's clearly the most old school runner, but he can't really give you the same stuff that a Kamara or a Cook or even a Aaron Jones or a Christian McCaffrey. He's not really a guy that they use in the passing game, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him focusing, squarely on running the ball. He does it so well. He has a shot at 2,000 yards this year. If he can average 170 yards, I think, over the last 4 games now, 3 games in the season, and he got 215 last week. So he's ahead of schedule. And oh, by the way, the Green Bay Packers, they suck at stopping the run and tackling physical defenders. Samuel 12-708, what's packing, homie? How you doing? I see you got the logo figure. I'm from Brazil. Whoa. Damn, I feel like I know how to. Obrigado? What's obrigado? Obrigado. I feel like I know that's like the only like Portuguese type shit I know. Obrigado. Isn't that like hello or something or thank you or something like that? Maybe. Well, hey man, hello, si, no, hola, from America. I'm from America, man. I'm a Packers fan. I'm guessing you might be a Packers fan as well. Thank you, Samuel, for jumping in on the stream, man. We're talking Aaron Jones and some of the best where he ranks. Really, I was just saying, talking about where I think he ranks in the best running backs in the league. I would say Henry is 2. And, you know, he only needs to average 170 yards for the rest of the season to crack 2,000. And he's got the Packers coming up. And the Packers are, you know, they usually give up a lot of yards rushing. And they're bad at tackling. So we'll see if he's able to do it. I kind of am pulling for him to get 2,000, to be honest with you. I would like to see it. And then I think there's just kind of like a mixture of guys in that for that third spot. Possibly you could go with a guy like maybe Nick Chubb, who was really off to an amazing start to his career. You know, Christian McCaffrey, like I said, Dalvin Cook, who's actually really talented guy as well. And these dudes, but Dalvin Cook's been hurt too. Chubb, I think he's tough. He's rugged. I like his style. I think Chubb is really underrated, but and then some people will probably say Ezekiel Elliott. He's also in that conversation. But to me, I think Aaron Jones, for what he showed he's able to do last year, having 19 total touchdowns on the year, over 1,200 yards. He had like 1,100 yards rushing. Then he had like another 400 yards. He had like 1,500 total yards on the season. I mean, he really showed he's a weapon. He's got game-breaking speed. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's improving as a blocker, which makes him more valuable in all three downs, all three phases of the game. So I feel like he definitely could be in that 4-5, 3-4-5 category. I might be, over. I might be missing some guys, but I feel like Jones deserves to get paid like a top 10, top 5 running back. But the Packers, as we know, they're not really ones to dish out the big bucks. Now, in recent years, the last couple years, they have. I mean, Rodgers, the quarterback position, they've always paid top dollar for that because you kind of have to. At least that's what that's the consensus. You gotta pay your quarterbacks. Me, however, I'm not really with that consensus. I don't think you always have to pay your quarterbacks. But that's not the topic we're talking about right now. We're talking about paying running backs, and that's the thing. As much as I love Aaron Jones, I don't think you should pay a running back top dollars. Like, honestly, it's too. Now, yes, I mean, unless you think you have an all-time great, and as much as like I said, I think Aaron Jones is a weapon. I think honestly, if the Packers would feature him more as the centerpiece of their offense, I do think Aaron Jones could put up all-pro numbers. I do think Aaron Jones could, down the last half of his career, the last 5-6 years of his career, if he can stay healthy, knock on wood, I hope he does. I think he could put himself into a conversation of one of the best running backs of this generation, of his class, and who knows where you go from there. It just depends on how consistent he is. But I really think Jones is a guy who could get you 2,000 yards from scrimmage every year and could be a person who, maybe leads the league in touchdowns, whether it's through a combination of running and catching receptions. But I feel like the Packers, but at the same time, as good as he is, as talented he is, as big of a weapon he is, it's like you can also, he was drafted in the 5th round. Like you can get guys of his talent level literally every single draft. There is somebody coming out with his talent level or his skill set, or who's fast, who's a good runner, who's got good vision, who's dynamic, and who's like could give you great production. And I think you could replace his production easy enough. I mean, they drafted a running back in the second round this year who on paper compares to a guy like Derrick Henry. He's not as tall, but he's just as stocky. He's, just as, not maybe just as fast, but he's not slow to be 250 pounds. He ran like a 4.5 or something like that. Did A.J. Dillon. And don't quote me on these numbers because, I don't know, this show isn't about facts. It's about opinions. And I might not always have the facts correct. I might not always have the numbers and the statistics, but my opinion is always correct. So that's all that matters. And then, and then the Packers, they have Jamal Williams on the team, even though his contract will be up as well. I think though he won't fetch as much of a market value as Aaron Jones. And then they have another guy, Dexter Williams, who's I think on the practice squad. And then, like I said, the draft every year there's guys you can select in the second, third, fourth, fifth round that could become a star. I mean, look at what the San Francisco 49ers, look who, they have a triple-headed monster in San Francisco. Mostert, Breida, and there's one other guy. And it's like, I don't know these guys. I don't know where they played college ball. I'm not the biggest college aficionado, but I do follow the college game close enough, and the Power 5 conferences. So if there's a guy usually from one of those conferences that's making noise, I've probably heard of him, or his name would ring a bell, or I've seen them play. And I don't remember any of these dudes that San Francisco had on their team last year, and they were one of the best rushing teams in the league, and they ran for 270 yards against the Packers. So you don't need a Adrian Peterson in order to get production out of your running back position. Adrian Peterson is a Hall of Famer. That's great. And yeah, I would have paid him. But there's not a lot of guys that I would pay, because there's not a lot of guys I think can be Hall of Famers. And Aaron Jones is not one of those guys. So if I were the Packers general manager, I wouldn't pay him. And it looks like, after what I heard last night on Twitter, Aaron Jones is looking to get paid. He's looking to get big dollars because he fired his agent that he's had since he got into the NFL, and he is now signed with Drew Rosenhaus, who is famous for working with high-profile level players, especially at the skill position, running backs and wide receivers, cornerbacks, positions where guys are looking to cash in because they know the value that they present as an asset to a team. And Aaron Jones, I think he is very valuable on the field. And because he is now signed with Drew Rosenhaus, I feel like that is a signal. That is like a very passive-aggressive signal to the Packers and to the league saying, look, I am looking to get paid. The Packers have been adapting this slogan, I love gold. And I'm telling you, Aaron Jones is looking for that golden dollar sign, cha-ching, that golden bag of money. He's looking for his weight in gold. And I think he weighs like 210 pounds. I don't know how much worth that is in gold, but I would have to imagine 210 pounds of gold is worth a lot of money. And I feel like that's what Aaron Jones is looking for. And it's obvious that he went with Drew Rosenhaus, man, or Drew Rosenhaus management team. There's a picture with him and his twin brother. Aaron Jones has a twin brother, and his twin brother, and like Drew Rosenhaus and somebody else, some other like person, they posed for a picture. And as soon as I saw that, I tweeted, well, I think he's, priced his way. He's going to price his way out of Green Bay. And then I look at what Green Bay has done this year, the way they have used Aaron Jones and the way they have used Jamal Williams. To me, it seems like the Packers themselves already understood that this guy was going to be too expensive for them. Last year, like I say, Aaron Jones burst onto the scene in his third year, recording 19 total touchdowns, which was tied for the league lead with one Christian McCaffrey, who had since become the highest paid running back in NFL history. He had 1,500 yards from scrimmage, and he had 170 total less touches than Christian McCaffrey, and was still able to produce on par with a Christian McCaffrey. So let me tell you, that means that if I believe if Aaron Jones had maybe had another 100 carries and another 70 targets in the passing game, he could have produced the kind of season that people would look at him and say, damn, he's the best running back in the NFL. Maybe he would have been an all-pro like Christian McCaffrey was an all-pro. I see someone else has joined the stream. Not really sure if you joined in from Get Stone Talks about cool stream, but would be great if you could change the title so we know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't really, I gotta figure out how to do that. I appreciate it. Let me see. Maybe I can do it right now. Can I do it now? Can I do it now? Let's see. Let me see. Maybe I can do it right now. Let's edit the video. Can I edit? Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that tip. Get Stone Talk Sports. We're gonna say is what's packing. What's Packing Sports Show live. All right, we're gonna do that. I was rudely interrupted, but grateful for such interruption because it was able to make me aware that I needed to change this. And I'm going to change. I didn't know I could change it immediately. So I'm going to. At the behest. Do I even need to put this live shit in there? I'm not going to put it. I'm just going to say, we were talking Aaron Jones contract, situation, MVS or Jefferson. MVS. What else are we talking about today? Power rankings and NFC North talk. Aaron Jones. I gotta put Jones. Aaron Jones contract situation, MVS, power rankings, NFC North, and more. We're gonna just put and more. We're going live, man. Hey, today I should have done this before, but hey, this is live television, baby. This is live television. Congrats on 21 subs. Appreciate it. Flex emoji. Congrats on your 40-something subs, dude. You're fucking killing it. You're crushing it over there. Just like your boys got crushed by the Cardinals, as I predicted. But hey, it happens. It happens. Eagles took down the Eagles. Were able to take down the Saints. So shit, any given Sunday, baby. Today we're talking everything around the NFL, from power rankings to franchise QBs. I'm changing my title and description so people know what I'm doing on the live show today. Today on the live show, we're discussing Aaron Jones. MVS plus everything else around the NFL from power to franchise quarterbacks. All right, Aaron Jones contract situation, MVS power rankings, NFC North talk, and more. There we go, man. There we go. Save the changes. Sorry for that production commercial. Wish I could have cut to commercial breaks there, or maybe could have cut to like a possibly could have cut to like some sort of ad break or some shit. But hey, man, couldn't do that. 20 of them on my burner account, but what you're gonna do? I didn't change title, but maybe if you, I just saved it. So check. You can check again. Tell me if it did, and maybe I will restart the live. But I feel like if I do that, it'll just do that again. It'll just, oh cool, yeah, it just changed, yeah. So, where was I? I was just talking to Aaron Jones. I was talking about how I think he's probably priced his way out of Green Bay. I feel like he is worth the money, but I wouldn't pay him personally as a general manager. I call myself the fans GM as the general manager of the fans. I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. You can replace his production, okay, with somebody from this year, the next draft coming up. I think that's pretty much all I had to really say about that. I feel like I was going into some other numbers, but really, that's it. I was saying I feel like the Packers, the way they've been using him this year, him and Jamal Williams splitting his time with Jamal Williams almost 50-50 at times. I mean, last week it was 10-15, so it's like 60-40 or some shit, 55 45, Yeah, I would have to let Aaron Jones go, and I'll tell you why. Because if you have, and that's what I was talking about earlier. If you see last night on Packers Twitter, this image went around with him signing. He fired his old agent and he signed Drew Rosenhaus. Now, you've been around for the game for a while. Get Stone Talk Sports. You know Drew Rosenhaus. You should know that name. He's a guy who likes to get his guys paid. I take him over Saquon. Yeah. Right now, even though Saquon's only been in the league 2 years, I feel like he's uber talented. The kid is big and fast. He's like a little Bo Jackson, which is funny to say because Saquon is so big. But, I mean, I haven't seen a guy sort of like built like that since like Bo Jackson or like Earl Campbell. But, yeah, I mean, I think Aaron Jones, he's tough. He's a physical runner. He can bounce. He can run in between the tackles. He can get outside. He can catch out the backfield. He's humble. He got his head on straight. I think he's everything you want. And I do think he's a top 5 running back. But the Packers have just paid David Bakhtiari the most money that a left tackle has ever been paid in the history of the NFL. Okay, they still paying Aaron Rodgers $35 million a year. They have to pay Jair Alexander, who, by the way, this year may be playing some of the best football at cornerback. They're going to have to maybe pay. They got some more. They got to figure out what they're going to do with their other cornerback position. Now, Jair Alexander, he's got another year or two left on his deal. But the point is he's starting to play so well. I'd rather sign Jair a year early than on the day that his contract expires, because the longer you wait now after this all-pro season he's put together, the longer you wait, the more expensive this guy is going to get. So he's going to garner top 5 money at the cornerback position, which will probably be maybe by the time they sign him $120 million. Who fucking knows? The contracts are just going up and up and up. And I think the Packers, they just have a lot of young guys that are coming up that they're going to have to pay still. The offensive line is getting ready to have to maybe get reshuffled or reevaluated. So I just think they don't have the luxury to pay an Aaron Jones right now. And Aaron Jones deserves to be one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. And if that's the case, the Packers they can't hold on to him. So, I would like to see him, and I think that the Packers have already prepared for this, because after he had his breakout year last year, he put the league on notice. And I feel like they realized, like, hey, this dude is talented. And when his contract is up, he's going to want money. And they don't like to pay running backs, okay? They really only like to pay quarterbacks and, linemen, the big guys. They really value the big guys up front. And I guess you could say they don't even really like to pay cornerbacks. They don't even really pay their cornerbacks, honestly. They let Micah Hyde and Casey Hayward walk in free agency because they didn't want to pay them. And those dudes are now been all pro guys for the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills. And they drafted those dudes and they developed them and they didn't even pay them. So the Packers have been really stingy with their money. And maybe it's because they don't have a billionaire owner like Jerry Jones, you know, who can just sign checks to everybody. They have to be more frugal with their dollars. But I feel like the Packers this year, they have sort of phased Aaron Jones out of the offense, if you ask me. Now, if you look at it with your football eyes, you can say, well, they're trying to save his body and keep him fresh for the playoff push, and they like the running back by committee, and it keeps teams guessing at what they might be doing, and they like having two guys who can be effective in the running game. That's true, but at the same time, I think that's bullshit. Like, it smells a little fishy to me. To me, I feel like that is true, but the other side to that truth, the other side to that coin, is that they almost trying to devalue Aaron Jones and say, yeah, he had great numbers last year in 2019 when Aaron Rodgers' numbers were down, and we were more focused on the run. And to this point, that season is sort of an outlier because his first 2 years with McCarthy, he was hurt a little bit, and McCarthy wasn't really using him as the feature guy either. He was doing kind of a running back by committee, and like I said, the guy he had struggled with some injuries. So McCarthy was sort of taking it easy on him, quote unquote. And I do feel like I don't mind having multiple running backs, but I do think you have to have a guy who gets the ball 80% of the time. And when you have a guy like Aaron Jones, he needs the ball 80% of the time to be most effective, because I feel like he's like a lather running back. Some guys are just boom, boom, boom right out the gate. But Aaron Jones, to me, he kind of has like a slow wind up a little bit, and like you gotta give him a little bit of carries in the beginning, and then start kind of rubbing those carries together. Add a little bit of passes in there, and then he starts to lather up, and then he starts to build, and then he breaks a 70-yarder, and then he breaks a 50-yarder. Or he might catch a pass and break that. And then now he's got 200, 150, 200 yards on the day and a couple touchdowns. I think that's the kind of guy he is. And when they take him out for Jamal Williams, I feel like it really hurts Aaron Jones. When they kind of split these carries almost evenly sometimes, I think it really hurts his production. And I feel like they could be doing that on purpose to say, like, yeah, he had that 1 year, but the first 2 years, he wasn't really that productive. And look, last year, or 2020 year, look, his numbers dipped all the way back down. He didn't have anywhere near the production as he did in his breakout year. And that will help them at the negotiation table. So I think the Packers know what they're doing. It makes sense football-wise to save his body so he can be healthy down the stretch for the playoff push. And I don't question that motive, but I think it also makes sense money-wise, and it helps their negotiation leverage to say, look, he only had this production 1 year. The other 3 years of his career, he didn't really produce at a top 5, top 10 level, so we're not going to pay him top 5, top 10 money, which is also shrewd but smart. He is very valuable to the offense, in my opinion, as well, but I do think you can replace his production. You might not be able to replace his talent, but I think you can replace his production. Look, man, every year, I said this at the beginning of the show, every fracking year, there are running backs that come out of the college rankings that are just like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones wasn't a first-round guy or a second-round guy. He was drafted in the 5th round out of University of Texas, El Paso. He wasn't highly recruited even coming out of high school. Now, hey, look, he's about to get paid. He's going to be one of the top-paid running backs in the game. Drew Rosenhaus gets his guys paid. So we can find another Aaron Jones next year in the draft. And, hell, we may have already found him. His name's A.J. Dillon. He's not as fast or explosive, but he's a big, bruising guy who's fast for his size and who has the ability to do everything that Aaron Jones does. Last year was a great year for him. Had him in fantasy. He put up crazy numbers, mad TDs. agree on running backs being abundant and can perform if you have a great line. And the Packers do have a great line. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country. I say it like it's a college ranking, but in the NFL, which is, the country, because we're the only professionals. The NFL is the only professional, football league, but they do have a great line. And like I said, they just paid David Bakhtiari to be the highest paid lineman in football. Money is made from trees, but it don't grow on trees. So I don't know where the fuck they're going to get all this money from to pay Aaron Jones. And then, like I said, they're going to have to pay Jair Alexander. And they're going to have to try to pay another cornerback. And they're going to have to try to pay, I know they got some more contracts coming up. They got like 10 or 15 free agents this year. And not all of them are on Aaron Jones' level. But they just paid Kenny Clark top defensive tackle money. So I don't really know where this money is going to come from. I think they've already kind of instituted a contingency plan by drafting A.J. Dillon in the second round and by taking some off of Aaron Jones's plate so that cannabis and money grows on trees. So I don't know about that. Cannabis grows on trees. Money is made from trees, but it don't just grow on trees. You can't go out and pick dollar bills off a branch like you can go out and snip marijuana off a plant. You can't do that. So, as I was saying, the Packers, I think they've already kind of put, they're just waiting for this was the next shoe to drop, as they say. And I think this is a harbinger of Aaron Jones is not most likely going to be a Packer next year. Now, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But if it comes down to overpaying him, and then that contract then makes it difficult for Green Bay to then pay some of the other people they need, I would rather them let him walk. And because I think he deserves to get top dollar because he's that good. So if it comes down to those two options, I would rather him walk, and I'd rather just roll the dice on A.J. Dillon. Maybe they bring back Jamal Williams on a cheaper price. And, we got Dillon and Williams, and we'll draft another guy. The Packers will draft probably another running back in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round or something. Another speedy guy. Or maybe Tavon Austin could take over that role. He's a fast guy. He played running back in college, and he's kind of like a Percy Harvin sort of kind of a guy. So that's my thoughts on the Aaron Jones contract situation. I want to know what you think in the comments. Get at me on Twitter. What's packing? No apostrophes because you can't put the apostrophes in Twitter. And let me know. Yeah, I agree. Let me know, though, what you think about the Aaron Jones thing. What do you think about him signing Drew Rosenhaus as his agent, who's notorious for getting guys paid. Okay, I'm not even stoned. I'm talking sports, though. And tell me what you guys think is going to happen with the Aaron Jones situation. And would you pay him? Do you think he's worth it? Or would you let him walk if he asks for too much money? The next topic I'm going to get into, and before I get into that, Getstone Talk Sports says Rodgers should restructure his deal to get more players. And I agree with that. I think Rodgers, while he too has deserved every penny he's gotten, he's on his way to his 3rd MVP. He's putting up Hall of Fame numbers. And he's definitely proven that even at age 37, he is one of, if not the best quarterback in the National Football League. He's one or two. He's one or two. You got Rodgers, you got Mahomes. Both of them sponsored by State Farm. And both of them, unlike State Farm, they demand a lot of money. They don't save you any money like State Farm does. They actually cost you money. And Aaron Rodgers is costing this team a lot. And I feel like he should restructure his deal. So that they can get more guys. And maybe they will. Maybe they'll be able to restructure Aaron Rodgers' deal after they win the Super Bowl. Maybe they'll be able to push some things around. Who knows? The next topic of the day, though, is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And maybe I should have built that up a little bit because I feel like he's such a polarizing figure in Packer fandom. I could have put a little more pageantry on that intro, but fuck it. I'm going to get right into it. I think practicing your advertising. Hey man, this is a show, and I'm trying to get the dough, So get at me. I can write copy, or I can wing it. I can fling it. Bring it. Advertisers, bring it to me. Let me sling it for you. Okay. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He is, like I said, very polarizing. He's very up and down. He's very inconsistent, but he's also very talented. He's very smart, very interesting as a player. I love his attitude, man. I love this kid's speed. I love his size. I love his tenacity in the running game. He blocks. He's not that big of a dude, but he blocks like who he reminds me of, kind of blocking, man. What's that guy's name? Well, actually, that's a lie. I'm not even gonna say that blasphemy, because Hines Ward was a whole nother fucking beast when it came to blocking in the running game as a wide receiver. Hines Ward used to knock dudes out. You can't even do what Hines Ward used to do back in his heyday. But I mean, for a little guy, and I mean little in girth or whatever, pause, or just his size and not height, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, man, he puts his head down and he'll get out. He was the key blocker on that Aaron Jones 77-yard rush 2 weeks ago. So, in the head coach Matt LaFleur, he spoke to that. After MVS had that crucial fumble in overtime against the Colts, one of the reporters said, "How can you live with Marquez Valdes-Scantling?" And the coach was like, "Bro, I can live with him because he's a great team player. He's a smart kid. He's talented, and we have not lost any confidence in him." And I don't know how much of that is coach speak or just saying what you got to say to the cameras, or not saying what you're really thinking because you don't want a guy to lose confidence in himself, and you don't want to be negative and demeaning and demoralizing to a guy, because that's not going to help. Okay? I can tell you that. You can ask my therapist about that. Because that was my father's, that was how my dad liked to encourage me. That's how my dad liked to push me to do better. He was a demoralizing, demeaning piece of shit. But this is not what's packing therapy. This is what's packing sports show. And we're going to stick to sports. But, this is life. Sports is life. And life is sports. So I think Marquez Valdes is a guy that in the last couple of weeks, though, he's come on. Since the Colts debacle, he had another drop actually this week. Wide open, Aaron Rodgers flung it like 50 yards down the field. He jumps up, he hits it in his hands, then he starts falling down, and then he tries to grab it again, and it hits the ground. And I'm like, damn it, Marquez, if you would have caught that ball and if you would catch more of those passes, you could actually be a guy that everybody's talking about around the league. And his contract is about to be up, and I know he wants to get paid, but he ain't going to get jack shit the way he's been playing. And for comparison, because I think, and I'm going to do a little comparison, I'm going to do a comparison in a second to another guy, a young guy who is bursting on the scene, who is making headlines, who is going to be talked as about for offensive rookie of the year, who is being already touted as one of the best young players in football, who is someone that the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, even said that he liked his game. And that player is, and this is where I would cut to a commercial break if I could, but I can't. So I'm just going to keep going and say his name, Justin Jefferson, rookie out of LSU, who plays for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings. Skololololololo. And I look at the Packers offense, and yes, they are the number one offense in the NFL right now. Yes, they're putting up more points and yards than anybody else. They got more touchdowns than anybody else. And they're really just almost unstoppable, unless you're the Tampa Bay Bucks. But I see the drops, and I see the potential that this offense could be even more nuclear. This offense could be like all-time greatest offense ever if they had a healthy, durable, consistent, talented, young, passing option after Davante Adams. And yes, Allen Lazard is a guy who I trust and a guy who I think has made his hay and has set himself up to be extended by the Packers. And he's got the trust of Aaron Rodgers. And when you have the trust of Aaron Rodgers, that means a lot. He's made plays, but he got hurt this year. He missed a lot of time. I don't know if that core injury is something that can be reoccurring. But other than that, I mean, I think Allen Lazard is a solid secondary option after your primary option being Davante Adams. But honestly, when I look at Lazard, I see a guy who I think he could be a number 2, but I think he would be more valuable, even more valuable as a 3, as a third option. Like if Lazard is your third option, to me, then you are cooking with gas, as they say, and you are able to put, 3 guys on the field who can win one-on-one matchups, who are physical, who have size, who have speed, and who can do some damage on any given Sunday. But right now, Lazard is the 2, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling is the 3, even though the Packers had a chance to get a guy like Justin Jefferson out of LSU, and I feel like they should have. We're not going to talk about the draft in its totality right now, even though I do want to do a draft sort of recap or where we at with the draft, the season later, because I wasn't even doing my channel yet when the draft happened. So I would like to, revisit that and just kind of give some thoughts and opinions about the draft and where we're at with that when I think about it. But if they would have went up in the draft, they would have had to move up because I think the Vikings took Jefferson at 22. The Packers moved up to, from 28 or 30 or some shit. Yeah, it had to be 30 because they were one of the teams eliminated in the NFC conference, the conference round. So they moved up from like 30 or whatever, 28, some shit like that, to 24 to take Love. 2 more spots. I mean, how much do you think it would have cost you to move up 3 more spots to 21 or to 20? Maybe another third, maybe a second. Shit, I don't care. To get Justin Jefferson, can you imagine with the year that Justin Jefferson is having? And I'm going to pull up the numbers in a second for comparison. With the year that Justin Jefferson is having, can you imagine him, Adams, Lazard as your big 3, catching the as a receiver, and then having a guy like Robert Tonyan, who is slowly becoming one of the more productive, efficient tight ends in the NFL. He doesn't have the gaudy reception numbers and the gaudy yardage numbers like a Travis Kelce or a Kittle or a Waller or some of these other guys, or even an Irvin might if he wasn't hurt this year. He doesn't have some of the gaudy numbers of a Pro Bowl level tight end, but he's got 8 touchdowns on the year. 8 touchdowns. So I mean, that's pretty pretty freaking fucking good. Robert Tonyan. And I have him on my fantasy team. Let's see. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Let me see. On the year, Tonyan. Oh, shit. He's got 9 touchdowns, bro. Tonyan has 9 freaking touchdowns on the year, which is tied for 6th in the entire league. 46 receptions, 533 yards. Robert Tonyan is a weapon. He's 6'5", 237 pounds, out of Indiana State. It's his 3rd season. This Packers offense is fucking loaded, bro. Seriously. But imagine how much loaded they could be if they had Justin Jefferson, who on the year has played in 13 games. He started 11. He has 65 receptions on 92 targets for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's catching the ball at a 70.7 completion percentage. And he also has, let's see. Yeah, I think he had 2 2 yards on a running play or some shit. 0 touchdowns, though. I mean, these are pretty good-ass numbers for a rookie who only started 11 games. He's averaging basically almost 100 yards a game. He's got 7 touchdowns with 3 weeks left. I think he cracks double-digit touchdowns, and he's catching the ball at 70%. That's pretty freaking good. That's pretty freaking good. And by comparison, now let's look at Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who this year similarly, how do you say that word? I wish I could put a poll up right now. Similarly, or let's just say for comparison, he's also played in 13 games, started 11 games, and has 31 receptions on 59 targets for 600 yards. So let's look at that. Justin Jefferson, and look, hey, I'm doing this because I wanted to really evaluate and assess the Marquez Valdes situation, because I think there are a couple of situations on this Packers team, one of them being the I almost called him Dom Capers because he reminds me of Dom Capers, but the Mike Pettin, a.k.a. Dom Capers, defensive coordinator situation. That's a situation on this team. The Marquez Valdes-Scantling is a situation on this team because he's so polarizing, because he has the talent and the coaching staff and the quarterback believes in him, but he hasn't had the consistency. So that's another situation on this team. The running game and the tackling is another situation on this team. And now the special teams have become the fourth situation on this team. But I wanted to discuss the Marquez situation because I've been hard on him. Now, I wasn't hard on him like the guy or like the fans who sent him death threats and said he should kill himself and all that kind of crazy crap. I would never say that about anybody, because suicide is real and mental health is serious. And these people who would threaten a guy to life or to tell a guy he should like kill himself over some damn football is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They need to get a fucking life, seriously. But I've been hard on Marquez, and I feel like I maybe too hard. Maybe too hard. Fans are nuts. They are nuts. Maybe I've been too hard on Marquez, man, because I said he needed to be benched. I said he was shit. And this is back in my more toxic times, in the beginnings of this, before I started the channel. But I start when I was really getting active on Twitter at the beginning of the year. I don't know. Maybe I was just mad. Maybe I was just angry. Maybe it was really me. Maybe I was reflecting. Maybe I was really mad at myself and I was taking it out on Marquez. Maybe like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I haven't been consistent, even though I have the talent and there are people who believe in me. I haven't been consistent. So I saw in Marquez Valdes-Scantling what I see in myself, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. So I lashed out, and I got nasty, and I was toxic. And for that, Mr. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I'm sorry. No, Gitstone Talk Sports, I do not know how to put comments on the screen. But I am reading the comments on a little window to the side. So I've come around and I'm like, hey, man, I want to give this kid Marquez a chance. MVS, as we call him in the community, and the coaches and the players call him. I wanted to give him a chance. So I wanted to look at his numbers, and I wanted to just compare him to Justin Jefferson, because I've been thumping my chest saying that the Packers would have drafted Justin Jefferson, this offense would be insane right now. As good as it is, it could be better. They're averaging 31 points a game with the Jefferson. They could be averaging 38 points a game or 42 points a game. Rodgers might have 6,000 yards passing and 65 touchdowns. Who knows? I can't send you money either. Won't let me super chat, I guess. Yeah, I don't have enough. You got to have you got to be affiliated or some shit to get super chats and get money and stuff. But if you did want to... If you did want to actually donate, I think you can through my Twitch. There's a link on my Twitch page where you can like set up to a PayPal or some shit like that. I'm a small fish in a small pond. Not even a pond. I'm like a small fish I'm a small fish in a big ass fucking ocean of content creators. So you gotta earn your chops before they even give you an opportunity to get paid for this shit. But as I was saying, man, I wanted to give Marquez another chance, and I wanted to apologize to him, and I just wanted to apologize to all Packers fans and Twitter people for how toxic and negative I was. Even though I still feel like a lot of the things I was saying, I still believed them, and most of it comes from just me being very objective and unbiased, and I respect the game so much, and I really love football so much, and I love the talking and debating football, and really just like I feel like commentary is its own sort of passion or sport almost, and I really I like to do it very competitively, and I don't like to let my allegiances get in the way of that. So, I can be very harsh and critical, but I also think there's a way you can deliver it, and the way I was delivering it was very toxic. So anyways, as I was saying, Marquez Valdes-Scantling in 11 games played, he's got 31 receptions on the year for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Not to mention, where's the touchdowns at? Where's the receiving touchdowns? I already saw it said 7, but now I don't see it again. Where the fuck is it at? Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, 5 receiving. I thought it said he got 7 touchdowns. Now it's saying he has 5. Oh, Justin Jefferson has 7. That's what it was. Silly rabbit. Put down the goose juice. All right. So he's got 5 touchdowns. Okay. So not as crazy as I thought. 5 touchdowns, but he does have a rushing. No rushing touchdown. Okay. So there we go. But the thing about Marquez is, unlike Jefferson, who's catching the ball at a 70% completion percentage, which sounds redundant when I say it out loud, Marquez, unfortunately, is only catching, his catch percentage is 52.5. So he's basically dropping passes about as often as he catches them. And for his career over the last 3 years, for the 3 years of his career, he's a 50.5. And some of those catches he dropped were touchdowns or balls, like touchdowns, like for sure, like maybe like in the end zone or like right there, or they were passes that like with his speed, he was going to score a touchdown. But to be honest with you, I kind of expected the numbers to be a way, way bigger. And you could argue that, 1,078. Jefferson has 1,078. 1,078 minus Marquez, who has 603. I mean, 475 yards. That's considerable. That's considerable. But only 2 more touchdowns. Like I said, we've all seen, and I haven't watched every game from Justin Jefferson, so I don't know if he's dropped some passes that could have been touchdowns. But catching the ball at 70%, I mean, I can't imagine that he is dropping that many passes. So, Marquez, I know for a fact, has dropped at least 2 or 3 passes that could have been touchdowns. So he has an ability there to not be so far behind, and even still 2 touchdowns less, 575 less yards. But when you look at Jefferson, who has 65 catches to Marquez's 31, he's got 34 more catches than Marquez. And if you multiply that by his average, right? Which is 19.5. This kid is a burner, bro. That would be 663 yards. So Marquez not targeted as much, without the same amount of catches, but definitely the amount of, the drops that he has. I mean, this kid could actually be a Pro Bowler. A fucking Pro Bowler. So this is what I want to say in conclusion. For as amazing as I feel like Jefferson is and what he's doing as a rookie, I can't wait or imagine to see what he's going to be able to do next year as a sophomore, once he learns the game and football sort of slows down for him. I can't imagine what he's going to be able to do and the kind of numbers he'll be able to put up next year. And sadly, he's in the NFC North for the foreseeable future. So that sucks. But they're going to have to fucking face this guy now for the next maybe 10 years, who knows, at least 8 or 9 years or 7, 8 years. And that's going to be fun, I guess. I want to see the teams in the North be good, and I'm going to talk about that later when we go around the North. We make a trip around the North and we talk about all things NFC North. But as good as Jefferson is, I feel like I would have thought that his numbers would have been way better than MVS. But MVS is really kind of right there. He's really right there, honestly. If he just doesn't drop the ball, which is a big part of the job description for being a wide receiver, I feel like catching the ball is like one on the list. Numero uno. You got to catch the ball to be a pass catching receiver. You have to catch the ball. And he drops the ball a lot. I mean, he could have had another 50 yards this past game if he didn't drop that pass, if he didn't drop the throw from Rodgers late in the game. So, I mean, that was at least 50. And there's a lot of plays like that for Marquez. So, I mean, it's like, bro, he's right there, man. He's really right there. If he would just catch the ball better, he would probably have, who knows, maybe 10, I know he'd have 7 touchdowns. I think there's another 5 touchdowns and drop passes alone from this kid. He's explosive. He's averaging 19 yards of reception. Right? Or is that a game? No, it can't be a game. Yeah, because if you do 11 times 19, that's only 200. Yeah, so he's averaging 19 yards a reception. That's crazy, man. That's like Deshaun Jackson numbers right there, bro. So I feel like this kid, he's not as bad as some fans might be knocking him for. And the fact that the quarterback and the coach have confidence in him, we might see him start to just turn around. He had a really good, strong hands catch in the end zone last week for a touchdown. I mean, that is like, dude, if you make that catch, how do you drop the one earlier with Rodgers throw you wide open and you're running down the field? And I think a lot of some of his plays too from last year, even when you were watching him and Rodgers trying to, get their connection down back in 2019, Rodgers kind of overthrew him sometimes, or he underthrows MVS sometimes, because he's never had a guy as fast as MVS. And just because I feel like the chemistry isn't there yet, their connection could be better. And maybe, year 4, we will see their connection get even better. And maybe Marquez will be able to really show what he's able to do. But I'm just going to go on record and apologize to this kid and say, look, man, I was probably a little harsh to you on Twitter. And after looking at the numbers and comparing you to Justin Jefferson, the guy who I was hoping the Packers might see, and I've been kind of saying all year, if they had this guy, imagine. 2 more touchdowns we'd have. So Rodgers would have 44, 43 right now. Okay, 2 more touchdowns. That's not going to raise your average from 31 points a game to 38 points a game or 40-something points a game. So, there you have it, man. I've always said to people, I'm not afraid to say when I'm wrong or to change my mind when presented with the evidence. And I feel like the evidence shows Marquez Valdez, who actually even has a better yards per catch average than Jefferson, who's at 16.6. Marquez is 19.5. So look, man, and on his career is 17.2. I have hope, man. I'm gonna be more positive when it comes to Marquez moving forward, and I'm gonna hope that after the year he's had, the ups and downs, that he just hits his stride down the stretch, man. And I'm gonna predict he is gonna have a breakout game for the Packers in the playoffs. He is going to have a game where he catches 7-8 passes for maybe 200 yards or 150, 60 yards, and he's going to have like maybe 2 touchdowns. He's going to have a big breakout game. Marquez is a redemption game to silence all his critics and detractors. Speaking of detraction, how you like this segment? We're going to swing things over to another topic that I wanted to talk about. And that is, well, there's a few things, honestly. I want to touch on the Jets and the number 1 pick situation, and I want to talk about the Lions, Vikings, and the Bears. And maybe I'll say that for last, the Lions and the Vikings and the Bears. Oh my! And in the power rankings, I'm gonna talk about this Jets situation, man, because I like talking all things football, and I feel like it actually has sort of a tie into the Packers, because last night as I was watching the game with the neighbor of mine, the old neighbor of mine, we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, and he's a Philly fan, and so Jalen Hurts came up, and we were talking about the draft class of the last couple draft class. Just need Trevor Lawrence. They need something. Well, I'm not so sure, my friend. I'm not so sure, because here's what I think. And this is what kind of generated the whole thing. And I've been saying this for the past 4 or 5 years. I like these young quarterbacks coming out of the college ranks today. Maybe not 10 years ago, even as recent as 10 years ago, but over the last 5 years, I think these young rookie quarterbacks coming out of college are better than they've ever been, and not just from a talent perspective, but from their ability to start immediately. And I shouldn't say that either, because I feel like guys were getting thrown into the fire back in the day too. And as a matter of fact, I think it was more acceptable sort of in the mid 90s to the 2000s to let guys sit. Or honestly, I guess it was always sort of it was always sort of a, whatever floats your boat type of thing. Some guys wanted to put dudes right in, throw them in the fire. I remember Elway got thrown in the fire. I mean, Peyton got thrown in the fire. He looked terrible his rookie year. And then there were GMs and talent evaluators and coaches who wanted to let guys sit and wanted to let them learn under a veteran quarterback before they got a chance to start. And then I think as the quarterback dollars started going up, and these guys started getting $60, $50 million before they even stepped on a football field in the pros, the notion became, well, shit, if you're going to pay these dudes, you got to play these dudes. So, I feel like it kind of became more of the thing. And then Rodgers sort of sat for a few years, and it kind of swung the momentum back towards let him sit and develop. And that's what they did with Mahomes. And then, but they also just threw Deshaun Watson right in there. So it's kind of a grab bag. But here's my thing. I think these guys are more prepared. I think they're as prepared as they've ever been to come into the professional ranks and to start immediately and to have impact. And it used to be that when you have a rookie, you got to give him a few years. Even if you start him right away, you got to give him a few years to see what he develops into, to let the game, so the game can slow down, and he can learn this and learn the cadence and da-da-da-da-da. And nowadays, because there's so much of the college game has weaved its way into the professional game now as far as how offenses are run and schemed and coordinated. I think these young guys are able to come in and feel more comfortable in the pro game because they're running college concepts. And if you look at the Jets, right, they're going to have the number one pick. They haven't won a game. They probably won't win a game. And if I were them, I wouldn't fucking even try to win a game for the rest of the year. But if you look at the Jets, they're going to have this number one pick, and they have Sam Darnold. Now, I'm not a huge Sam Darnold fan, but I just listened, and I haven't watched a lot of Sam Darnold. And we all saw that he had that very embarrassing clip when he was playing against the Patriots. He had that soundbite when he was mic'd up saying, "I'm seeing ghosts out there." And I feel like maybe that was the downfall of Darnold. But there are a lot of talent evaluators and analysts and former quarterbacks who do the sports show thing nowadays, and they like Darnold, man. And they think he has talent. And I want to say, who am I to say he doesn't? He definitely balled his ass off at USC. I remember watching that Rose Bowl game where he beat Penn State in like a thrilling, one of the best college games I remember in recent memory. That wasn't like a national championship game. And the dude was just in a bad situation. I think the Jets, they don't have any talent really around him. They don't have an offensive line. They're poorly managed, and Adam Gase is a hack. He's supposed to be this quarterback guru, offensive genius, and everywhere he's been, he hasn't done anything with the talent he's had. So I don't feel like Darnold was given the best circumstances to succeed, and he was expected to be the savior. But I don't care how good you are, how much talent you have, if you don't have pieces around you, and if your coach is incompetent and the offense is confusing and clunky, and the management is just bad, so there's just like this whole dark cloud of mediocrity just hanging over your organization at all times, waiting to rain down on you, to bring you down. And then you're in the New York market, which is like the toughest market to be in, to be playing quarterback and to be playing professional sports, and to be this guy that they just put on the poster boards as the next thing, you know? That's a recipe for disaster, stew. And he's been eating a lot of it over the past 2 years. And I'm like, bruh, slow down with the Darnold. Don't be so ready to throw Darnold out the window, okay? Because my neighbor was saying that, even the Eagles, he's an Eagles fan, and they got Hurts, and Hurts just beat the Saints, right? And they got an issue now. They got a situation with their quarterback because Wentz is getting all this money. He's hurt. He's not playing well when he is healthy. And now you got this kid Hurts who just beat the best defense in the NFL. And the Saints were on a 9-game winning streak, and he stopped them dead in their tracks. They haven't getting up. The Saints had not allowed a 100 yards rusher in 50 games. They play the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, and they allow not one, but 200-yard rushes because Jalen Hurts and the running back for the Eagles both had 100 yards in that game. Which goes to show you how important a quarterback is to your team and giving them like a shot in the arm and making them feel like they have a chance. And the running back, I want to say his name is Samuels or whatever, he came out after the game and said, yo, this Hurts kid, he basically kind of like energized us, man. And I'm paraphrasing like shit, but that's basically what he said. Kind of low-key knocking Wentz. And I'm not even the biggest Wentz guy, but I saw this dude play last year against the Packers, and he shredded their defense. And I feel like Wentz has the kind of talent that maybe he just needs another chance, and maybe it might be with the Colts. He can go back and team up with Frank Reich and get put in an offense that really caters to his strength and that he already understands, and a coach that values him. And he can get a fresh start like Tannehill did. Because Tannehill looked like a bust in Miami. He gets shipped off to Tennessee and immediately goes to the AFC Championship game And this year, for my money, Tannehill is a top 7 quarterback. Not even top 10. He's like top 7, bro. He might even be top 5, to be real with you. Like right there at 5. I really like Tannehill's game. But we would not know really if the Jets just sort of, I mean, if the Miami just sort of, maybe if he never went to Tennessee, we wouldn't know what he was capable of doing. And this Lawrence situation is going to be interesting because he's had so much hype since he was a freaking freshman, bro, and he won the national championship with Clemson. He has been the most hyped quarterback that I can remember in recent memory. Like, yeah, RG3 and Andrew Luck, but Lawrence is just so like dazzling. Like his play style and with his athleticism and just his charisma, he is a very interesting prospect. It's like, ooh, I kind of want it. It's like I get no homo pause, but it's like I see why like GMs and like evaluators are like salivating over this guy, as far as like his talent and what he's able to do as a quarterback. And it's like, shit. I think there are going to be a couple teams that want to take a shot at him, like the Philadelphia. Maybe Philadelphia might want to try to move heaven and earth, and try to get Lawrence. Even though I feel like they should just stick with Hurts, because I like Hurts, man. He's tough, he's resilient, he's smart, he's accurate, he's athletic, and I think he'd be good for the city of Philadelphia. He's a tough guy, man. Not just physically, but mentally. And then you have a team like Dallas. They're going to be in the top, one of the top 5 or 6 picks, right? Unless they, they would if they just keep losing. Now they want to start winning all of a sudden, like some freaking idiots. They might have a shot at Lawrence, or they might be looking at Lawrence. As my neighbor was saying, I want Lawrence. They might be looking at Lawrence, man. Dak is old. They gave Dak whatever, $40 million, $35, $38 million on a guaranteed 1-year franchise tag. He breaks his foot. I'm sure he'll come back better than ever with a bionic ankle. And he might be faster, stronger, better, like the millennial man, or bicentennial man, or whoever kind of fuck man it was. But honestly, I wouldn't pay him 40. He wants like they offered him 30 million, 32 and a half or something. If I was his agent, I would have looked at Dak Prescott and said, "You better sign that damn deal. I want my 10%. What's 10% of 30 million? 300,000, 30,000, right? $33 million. Times 0.10. Yeah. Oh, shit. You dumbass. More like 3 million. I said 300,000. More like 3 million, bro. $3 fucking million, man. 33. Wow. Math is really not my strong suit. Yeah, that's 100. That's 100,000. That's 33 million times 0.10. Agents get 10%, right? Or 7 or some shit. $3 million. Ooh, doggy. Ooh. That's a lot of money. Just to get another guy to sign, just to get another guy some money, you get $3 million. That's a nice deal for the agent. But now he didn't sign it, Dak Prescott, and now he's in a precarious situation, man. If I'm Jerry Jones, honestly, I would just tell Dak, hey, buddy, thanks for everything. This isn't personal. This is business, but you didn't want to sign the deal at 33 or 32. We're not going to pay you 40. We're not even going to pay you 38 or 35. We're going to pay you 32 or 33. But I don't even know if he's worth it, honestly. Like, to me, that price point, the very highest price point, is really the only guys I would really pay that to right now, is Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Not even Rodgers. I wish I would have had a show back when Rodgers signed that deal to go on record to say I didn't really like that deal. I didn't like making him the highest paid quarterback and giving him $35 million a year. He's aging. He had injuries to his calf. He had injuries to his collarbone. Broke both of them. Those could break again. He had the calf shit. He had injuries. And he wasn't playing. I don't care what anybody says about his down years are still career years for other people. He had set a standard in 2009, 2010, 2011. All right, man, get stoned, talk sports. I'm assuming maybe you're going to go get stoned and maybe talk some sports of your own. But thanks for stopping in. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the support. Rodgers, thanks, man. We're not even done. But I appreciate it. Rodgers, I don't care what anybody says. He had not played up to the level that he had set in his first MVP season in 2011. He hadn't played up to it in the last 4 years. Not since really 16, right? 17, though. 18, 19. Those 3 years, he hadn't really played up to it. Now, he did win an MVP in 16. MVS, the fuck, MVP. He did win MVP in 16. I want to say, right? How many awards does Rodgers have? I should know this, as a Packers fan, I should know this, really off the back of my hand. I shouldn't have to look this shit up. I really shouldn't. We're going to go to his wiki. Wiki. No, 14. Right. I knew it was 14. Honestly, I knew it was 14. I don't know why I said 16. Because I know 16 is when the decline started. That's what's like, dang, his decline started. So, yeah, 2011 and then 2014. But he hasn't really played at that MVP level since 2014, really. 15, I'm guessing he had an injury, right? 15. Is that the injury year? Had down here by his standards. Career low, 3,800 yards, which he played at least 15 games. Had 31 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. 60% of his passes. 6.7%. Yeah. In week 3, a 38-20 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, Rodgers had 333-yard passing. I mean, what the fuck happened in 16? I mean, what happened in 15? I don't even remember why he was so bad in 15, honestly. Yeah, he did injure that shit, man. Wow. 16. So 15 he had dipped, and then 16 right was the run the table. Wow, run the table. That was 16. Yeah, they had to run the table in order to do it. You could argue he could have won the fucking thing for that. 4 touchdowns in the victory. They defeated the Dallas Cowboys. Right, yeah. Oh, man. And then they played the Falcons and got lamb-basted. Wow, man. That was definitely not his fault, for sure. I do not put that on Rodgers. Well, yeah, they beat them, and they beat the Dallas Cowboys, who had the number 1 seed. Wow, Rodgers completed 28 of 43 passes, 2 touchdown interception, and the victory. Packers lost to Atlanta Falcons in the NFC Championship game. Wow, yeah, damn. So my memory's a little foggy. Forgive me for that. But yeah, I mean, 15 was a bad year, man. 14, he had the MVP. 16, they had to run the table. But yeah, I mean, it started out horrible. Then they had to run the table, and that team was actually pretty good, man. I feel like, damn, they just had too many injuries on defense. 17, 18, and then 19. So honestly, looking back on it, it really when you really look back, man, it's honestly not that bad. I guess because the standard of excellence has been set so high, like I said in 2011. When you really look back at it, in 2018 they signed that deal worth $134 million. But after the downplay he had in 17, and then he had another down year in 18, They fired the coach. And then 19, Matt LaFleur starts. And he had really kind of a down year. I mean, he didn't have his, 17, 18, 19. So was he worth it? At the time, though, I was saying I wouldn't have done it because I felt like it was more important to keep the team together and to keep a young nucleus of players around that could sort of go into the next generation. Offensive line, you knew Bakhtiari was going to be coming up. You had Kenny Clark coming up. You have Jair Alexander, and you really needed to get some more guys, honestly. So I was a little reluctant. I was saying that honestly, I probably would have traded Aaron Rodgers to try and get the farm, like 3 number ones and some number 2s and maybe even a player or some crazy shit, and just drafted one of these young quarterbacks coming out of college and rolled the dice on that. And building a team, like a fucking juggernaut around this young kid. Best offensive line, give him the best weapons, and have the best defense that money can buy and that, talent can acquire. And rolling with that. And, I'm sure somebody might see this and be like, what an idiot, especially if they win the Super Bowl this year. What an idiot, they're going to say. Or say I have dumb takes, or I should quit football, and all sorts of kind of extremes people go to on Twitter and such. But, I mean, I still stand by that. I don't like paying these quarterbacks a bunch of money, and that goes back to my point. What are the Jets or the Cowboys or the Eagles, what are they going to do about this Trevor Lawrence kid? And I was saying that these young guys come out so ready, and they're so athletic nowadays, and they're so good, that I think, honestly, it makes better business practice to just roll the dice on a new kid every 4 or 5 years instead of paying, aging quarterbacks big money. Now, the first time around, I agree. You pay him. Rodgers got paid on his first deal after his rookie contract. He got paid. The second one, like I said, I would have been reluctant. And the way he wants to go, he wants to play until he's 40 at least. He's 30. He's 37 now, right? He's 37. Just turned 37 this year. December 2nd. Damn, get back to the top, bro. He wants to play to his 40. That's 3 more years. He signed a 4-year extension in 2018, 2019, 20, 21, 22. So his deal will be up before he wants to stop playing, and then he's going to need another deal. Right? But I think the Packers might have him under contract until 2022. I think so. Is he under contract until 2022? They did talk about the extension. Rodgers signed a 4-year extension in 2018. Right. So, I mean, that doesn't really tell me 4 years, though. I mean, the math is 19, 20, 21, 22. Right. That's 2 years from now. 3 years from now, he'll be 40. So, he'll need another deal. And I'm not thinking it's going to be with Green Bay, even if this dude wins a championship with the Packers. And I think, honestly, after further review, they can do it this year. They can definitely do it this year. Pettin is going to be their biggest obstacle. Like, other than that, though, they've got the talent. But I've been kind of meandering around this topic of this Trevor Lawrence situation, paying quarterbacks, and this is where I want to. This is what I really want to say. If I were the Jets, I think the Jets, who will have the number 1 pick, I don't think they're going to draft Lawrence. They will think about it, but they got Darnold, man. And if you give Darnold a new head coach who really knows what the hell he's doing, maybe like Eric Bieniemy, okay, who I think is going to be the top head coaching candidate. There's some other guys out there, maybe like a Jim Harbaugh, maybe. But they're saying he might go to Detroit. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But there's some guys out there, but I think Eric Bieniemy is like the number one dude, bro. As far as offensive minds go, I think he's like the number one guy. He's done a great job with Patrick Mahomes. He's calling plays now in Kansas City. Andy Reid has allowed him to call some plays now in Kansas City. Andy Reid was notorious for being the play caller, and he didn't want to give that up. But I think he's been a little more liberal with those duties, and those responsibilities as of late. Probably to try and help Eric Bieniemy get, puff up his resume so he can get that head coaching gig. But let's say the Jets, they fire the head coach, they fire the GM, they bring in Eric Bieniemy. Maybe they bring in Louis Riddick, okay? Black head coach, black GM. You got this kid Darnold. Then maybe you sign Aaron Jones to a big deal. Okay? You got the number one overall pick. In the Jets organization, I think they like Darnold, and they don't want to. I think they like Darnold enough to sit his ass down and start Flacco because they don't want to get him hurt. Look what happened to Joe Burrows. And the Joe Burrows situation kind of factors into my argument because as much as I like Joe Burrows, and the Bengals were a trash organization for the past couple of years, and Joe Burrows, he comes in, they're scoring points. He's revitalized the fan base. He's pumped some energy and some life into that organization. And I was on record of saying that, to a friend back in California. He was like, man, don't take Joe Burrows. He's a quarterback, and quarterbacks need so much around them that even if you draft this kid and he is who you think he is, he's the next Tom Brady with better wheels and more athletic. He's not going to be able to do anything for your franchise for at least a couple of years because everything around him is so bad. He was saying that the Bengals should have took Chase Young, and I was like, no, bro, that's wrong. You got to take the franchise quarterback because they can just change the whole makeup of your team, the whole psyche of your team. Look what it did for the Eagles. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is a franchise guy, but look what having a guy who you believe in, who's a little exciting, who can make some plays, look what he has done for the Eagles just in 2 weeks. And Andy Dalton wasn't getting it done. Andy Dalton, even though he got them to the playoffs, he had never won a playoff game. He had never even thrown a playoff touchdown. He had more interceptions in the playoffs than touchdowns, which was 0 touchdowns. And he had like 5 interceptions. And Andy Dalton was just not that guy. He wasn't that guy. And I feel like the team knew it. The players knew it. So they weren't playing. They weren't giving it their all. Because I don't care how many millions of dollars you make. It's just like your job. You go to a job maybe you don't like. You're just doing it for the paycheck. It gives you no passion. It's not really something you're interested in, so it drains your energy. You get depressed. And in the pros, yeah, these guys are making money. But it's like they're still human. And when you lose games or your quarterback is terrible or your head coach is an idiot or your owners are bad, it just weighs you down. And you can't just say, oh, you're making $20 million a year, go out there and play your ass off. Oh, you're making millions of dollars a year to play a game. How dare you? Come on, man. That's not how the human psyche works. That's not how it works. Millionaires kill themselves all the time. They be depressed. They have drug addictions and things like that. So I think that's stupid when people say stuff like that. You bring Joe Burrows in, though. Now they're revitalized. But even still, they only won 2 games with Joe Burrows before he got hurt in week 11. And I'm going to send up some prayers for Joey B. Hopefully he comes back stronger, better than ever. Because I hate to see guys get injured. But it's like, even with the talent, and the Bengals, they had like some talent. They had some guys in defense, and they had some guys on offense. And, they still only won 2 games with him. So the Jets, who don't even have as good a coach or as good a talent around Darnold, how many games do you expect them to win? Like, come on. And I feel like that has taken a toll on him. He's regressed a little bit, but I don't think he's damaged goods. Look at Tannehill. Shoot, look at Mike Vick. He was able to sort of resurge his career after spending time in prison in Philadelphia. Look at Brett Favre. It happens. Guys sometimes need to change the scenery. Look at not even just looking at quarterbacks. Look at Marshawn Lynch, running back. he had a lot of kind of he was very highly touted coming out of Cal. He went to Buffalo. He had some years in Buffalo where, people was like, yeah, this dude's good. He's underrated. He's just up in the obscurity of Buffalo. He's being buried in the Buffalo obscurity. But he comes to Seattle. Now he goes on to have, kind of a low-key Hall of Fame career. So guys sometimes need to change the scenery, or they just need a good quarterback coach and a good, head coach and just a good environment to thrive in. And that's not the Jets' environment right now. So I don't think the Jets should take Lawrence. And if they do take Lawrence, they should take him just to trade him. They should take him and trade him. And I think the fact that they set Darnold this year for the rest of the season, I think I said they believe in Darnold too because they didn't want to see him get hurt on a bad team like Joe Burrows did. He got hurt, right? And it's like, dude, this guy's in his second year. It's like, just sit him down, bro. Sit him. If he gets hurt and breaks a leg or F's up his arm or something, then he's got to worry about trying to rehab. And it's just like, this is messy. So sit him down. Keep him safe. Let him just, watch the game. And then, maybe involve him a little bit on the coaching decision. I think teams should do that. I think teams should involve their franchise guy in the coaching decision. I think Darnold has a chance to be the franchise guy. Maybe not a Hall of Fame guy, but a franchise guy to me is somebody who your franchise has a good opportunity to win with and win championships with. And if you have a team around a guy like Darnold, from what I've heard, you should be able to win. So I think the Jets should hold on to him. And instead, what I would like to see is somebody else trade up to that number one spot. And I have a interesting team. And this would be like my dream scenario. Or this would be like this is my prediction or just like my fantasy scenario. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to trade up to that number one spot to draft Trevor Lawrence, Georgia kid, gets played in Georgia. No, where's Clemson? Clemson's not in Georgia. Clemson is in Carolina or some shit. Where's Clemson? Let's see, Clemson University. South Carolina, but close enough. He's a Georgia kid. Played in South Carolina, gets to go back home to play for the Atlanta Falcons. They've got some pieces. They're going to probably fire their head coach, right? Did the Falcons fire head coach? Falcons head coach candidates, right? Did they already fire this dude? 12 potential candidates for the Falcons. Let's see. The Falcons are 75% of the way through one of the more frustrating seasons in franchise history. But plenty of work remains. Along with the potential top 10 pick, the Falcons will be hiring a new general manager and possibly a new coach who should make an interesting offseason. Yeah. See, I'm already liking this. I didn't even know this about the Falcons, and I already like the situation that I'm concocting more and more. While certainly not ruling out interim head coach Ray Morris. I'm always pulling for the black head coaches. But I don't think he's done enough to get it to keep the job. Who is 4-3 since taking over the team after 0-5. Well, 4-3, that's winning. That's winning football. And they've definitely paid better. So maybe he has done enough to get the job. Maybe he has done enough. But again, I'm liking this more and more now the more I'm reading about it. Let's take a look at 12 other potential candidates for Atlanta. Robert Saleh, Greg Roman, Eric Bieniemy, Arthur Smith, Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus, that's a name. Jim Caldwell. Matt Campbell. College guy. Byron Leftwich. Really? No, he's not ready. Brian Daboll. Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. Now he and what they've done with the Bills and Josh Allen, that would be interesting. Patrick Graham, New York Jets coordinator, Giants coordinator. Joe Woods, Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan coach. Of this list, for my scenario, I would go with Brian Daboll, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, or I would go with Jim Caldwell, Eric Bieniemy I like for the Jets, or Greg Roman. Robert Saleh, I like him going to the Bears. Robert Saleh, I want to go somewhere with some pieces on defense that I can already work with, and then draft a guy that I like in the first round, and then let's keep rolling. So yeah, Roman, Daboll, Caldwell, and maybe even Harbaugh. Those are the 4 candidates I like for the Atlanta job, but Harbaugh, they're saying, has ties maybe to the Detroit job. He's a Michigan dude. He's a Detroit guy. Michigan, whatever. And imagine that. An offensive-minded head coach who already has experience with a tall, athletic, strong-armed, young guy who's still kind of raw and needs... I'm just going to go with the Bills guy. Let's just say they hired the Bills guy, and he's already worked with Allen. So now you bring him into Atlanta. You bring in a new general manager. I don't care. Pick somebody. And then they package some picks, right? I wonder if I can get the Atlanta draft picks. Atlanta Falcons draft 2021. Let's see what they got. How many picks do they have? They don't even have can I get their I don't know. I want to be able to see draft picks for select. Arizona, Buffalo, blah, blah, blah. Can I get can I find out how many picks the Falcons will have in 2021? Can I find that out? Fuck it. But whatever they have, I would like to see them package, I don't know, whatever it's going to take to move up from 4, because right now they're in 4. And if they stay at 4, the other teams at 2 and 3, 20. I don't think they need quarterbacks. I think it's going to be, the Bengals. They just got Burrows, and who's the other 2021 draft? There's another team up there. NFL draft. They're not going to need quarterbacks. So that's prime real estate. That's prime. Yeah. I mean, now the what's these people's name? Oh, hold up. Oh, they're saying that the Falcons are 10? Really? I thought the Falcons were 4. Right. I thought the Falcons were 4th. Damn. Okay, so this really changes my whole situation. Really kind of changes my whole situation. I really thought the Falcons were 4th right now, but even still, I'm going to finish my fantasy. And let's just say that let's see what Walter Football says. Who's at 4th right now? Jets. Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville, they might be in for a quarterback. They got the Justin Fields guy. Bengals. Dallas. Man, yeah. Okay, Chargers. They just drafted a guy they don't need. Philly. Maybe do they want to move up? Maybe Philly. Shit, then maybe it does become Philly. Maybe Philly tries to move up from 6 to 1 to take him. Carolina. Atlanta is 8th right now, according to WalterFootball.com. So I don't know how much it would take, but maybe it takes this year's first, next year's first, and then maybe it takes second, this year's first, second, third, next year's first, and second, and then maybe like a Julio Jones who's been injured but still has talent and still, by many accounts, is one of the better guys in the NFL. If you ask any NFL player who the number 1 receiver in the game is, they will all tell you Julio Jones. Still the best wide receiver. Cornerbacks, wide receiver. And they all say, Julio Jones, he's just another freak. He's an alien. So I think he still has trade value to a Jets team that needs weapons, who wants to give their young quarterback Darnold somebody to pass to, somebody he can learn from. You know, I feel like Julio Jones can teach Darnold some things. He can show him how to be maybe, professional or whatever. So it's like, then the Falcons, they go up and they grab Trevor Lawrence. He gets to go to Atlanta. I mean, you got Ridley. You draft someone else in the second round to but then you're trading your second and third round picks. So I mean, maybe you have to, maybe you bring somebody in free agency. I don't know what their cap is looking like, but there might be some free agent wide receivers out there on the market that they can scoop up. 2021 wide receiver free agency. Let's see, free agents. Who's from 2021 free agents in the wide receiver market? AJ Greenwood, he's done. He's trash. Positional. What the fuck, man? Come on now. Come on now. Okay, this is not a good website. Oh, shut up, bitch. Shut up. Let's see, 24 free agents. I want to just see Dak Prescott, George Kittle. Oh my God, he's gonna get paid. Jalen Ramsey, like, thought this nigga just got paid. He just got a contract extension, didn't he? Oh, this is an old list. David Bakhtiari, yeah, come on, this is old. Jeez Louise. December 2nd, here we go. Dak Prescott, Chris Godwin, bada bang. Go grab Chris Godwin, and Calvin Ridley with Trevor Lawrence. That sounds like Allen Robinson, another guy you can go and get. Kenny Golladay. So there are some wide receivers who will be available in free agency. Levante David, Will Fuller. Ooh. This next free agent class is going to be good. Juju Smith-Schuster. There's going to be some guys on this list, man, that the Falcons could go out and get to replace Julio Jones, younger, healthier options. Do some kind of package deal. You send him to the Jets. The Jets move back. They still have a top 10 pick. They'll still be able to get a tackle, which is probably what they need to get. Or a center, or a guard, somebody in the offensive line to help protect Darnold. Now they have more weapons. I'm assuming the Jets probably have some cap room. New York Jets cap space. Do they have a lot of cap space? Do the Jets have a lot of cap space? You can move some of these guys off here. I don't know. And again, I don't know if this makes any sense from a money standpoint. Because as I said, this show isn't necessarily about facts. It's about opinions. And this is my opinion. This is my fantasy draft scenario that would just be shake the draft and would just be so scintillating. And it would just get people talking. And it would just be so exciting to have such a fucking move. And that's kind of what I want to see. I want to give Darnold a chance in a better environment, even if he stays where he's at. If you just, in this breaking news, Giannis Antetokounmpo signs 5-year extension supermax worth $228 million to stay with the Bucks. So good for the Bucks. Now those fans in Wisconsin can let us sigh of relief, because I know there were some people who were like wondering when the hell, why hasn't he signed the deal yet? But this is we're talking football. This is going to be a football channel. I would like to see that happen. Will it happen? Who knows? That's all. I'm gonna just kind of wrap that up, man. That was just like I said, just something I was fantasizing about, something I was thinking about, something I thought would be interesting, and kind of makes sense, in a way. I think it makes sense because I think the Jets still like Darnold, and if you can still get something out of it, get some value, get some players, get some more draft, because they need to build that team up. So they need more picks. And if you can get an extra 2 or 3 second round and third round picks, plus an extra first rounder in next year's draft, so 2 picks in the next year's draft, you're still going to probably finish 8-8 or worse. So you're going to have another maybe top 15 pick. Then you start putting a team together, and you've got Eric Bieniemy, or you got you got a head coach that can coordinate an offense, help you develop Darnold, and all is not lost. And if Darnold doesn't work out, and Lawrence becomes a great star, who cares? Because you know what? In fucking 2 more years, there will be another. There's some kid right now, fucking Archie Manning's grandson is going to be waiting in the wings. There's always another kid who's breaking records and setting the world on fire and throwing the ball and doing all this kind of crazy stuff next year, bro. There's always, especially nowadays, how the recruiting, how big the recruiting game is, and these kids are on freaking ESPN, and there's always the next one is the best one, baby. That's what I always say. In life, love, and college quarterback prospects. So the next topic we want to get into, man, before the battery runs out, which is really how long the show can last. This show lasts as long as the battery will allow. And I wanted to talk about the power rankings, man. Last night, the NFL had one hell of a game. The Browns and the Ravens, they played their asses off, and they were able to really entertain us, man. 47-42, Ravens now at 8-5. They are in a good spot for the wild card. The Browns fall to 9-4. They're still in the playoffs. There were lots of good games this week in the NFL. Lots of games that had playoff implications. And if we look at my power ranking from last week, right? I had New Orleans at number 1, Pittsburgh at number 2, Kansas City 3, Green Bay 4, Bills 5, Browns 6, Rams 7th, Titans 9th, Bucks 10th. No, the Colts. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, Bucks 9th, Colts 10th. Sorry. And after looking at the slate of games from this past week, obviously things are going to have to change. The power rankings, or as I call them, the pedestals of power, they're going to be shifting around. And I'm going to give you my new top 10 teams for the NFL going into week 15 and who I think are the best of the best. Number 1, actually, let's start at number 10. Number 10, let's look at the games, though. Let's look at the games. Browns lost, Rams won. I'm going to put L's. So Bills won, Green Bay won, KC won, Pitt lost, New Orleans lost, Browns lost, Rams, they won. Right? Rams won. Where the Rams at? Rams, where are you? Oh, yeah. Rams won. Titans won. They had a nice game against the Jags. They stuffed their face. Bucks won. They had a nice game as well. I want to say the Bucks did. The Buccaneers over the Vikings, and the Colts won over the Raiders. So immediately I'm dropping the Browns down to 10, right? The Browns got to be 10, even though they showed, because the New Orleans and Pittsburgh, they lost, but I still like Pittsburgh, honestly. I'm still not jumping off the Pittsburgh train. They've had a lot, but we're gonna get to that later. Let's just start number 10. The Browns, they're going down to number 10 for me. They had a chance to stomp on the Ravens in Cleveland to get some revenge. For the past couple years, the Ravens have beaten and battered the Browns, and plus there's all the history with the teams, the Colts moving from Baltimore and going to Cleveland, and then Then the Baltimore Ravens coming back. So there's all that kind of history there. They've been the foot mat of the NFC of the AFC North for many years. And the Browns had a chance to prove that they were ready to take the next step. And they played their butts off, man. They played their butts off. And had their kicker not missed the extra point and the field goal, they would have won this. But, I mean, I had them at 6. You got to win these sort of games. The division is tough. But based off what I've seen, based off what I witnessed, do the Browns belong at number 10? They're 9-4. I'm actually not going to I'm going to keep the Colts at 10, to be honest with you. I'm going to keep the Colts at 10. Because from what I saw, I think that this Browns team, I like what they have offensively. They have some guys banged up. Of course, they're missing Odell Beckham. But they can run the ball really well. Kareem Hunt and Chubb are amazing. They've got a pretty good defense. And Baker Mayfield seems like he's kind of getting it. He still made some mistakes yesterday. But I like them better than the Colts. So I'm going to keep the Colts there at 10. And I'm going to put the Browns at 9. Yeah, I'm going to put the Browns at 9. And number 8. This is hard. This is really hard. But I'm gonna put the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8. You know, they lost to a Washington team that I felt like, hell, they can make some noise. Okay, that was their first loss in a week. Then they turn around on a short week. They lost to Washington on a Wednesday. They have a short week. They played the Bills. They played the Bills pretty tough, man. They had opportunities, right? No, yeah. I'm gonna give Pittsburgh another chance. They had opportunities to maybe win that game. They lost by 5, 6. So they lost by 12. 11. I'm sorry, my math is it's terrible. They lost by 11 points to a superior Bills team. I think now we can say the Bills are pretty damn good. But the Steelers, they have limitation on offense, but they don't help themselves out either because they have a lot of guys who are dropping passes. They lead the league in drop passes. I wonder if Pittsburgh is going to get healthy. Health. What's their roster health? I don't even know how to look that up, man. The Pittsburgh, so they have a lot of injuries right now, man. They have a lot of injuries. I just want to injuries. Which is really also messing them up. Are they going to get any of these guys back? I'm not sure. Did not practice. This is from when? If they can get some of these guys back, man. This is from 12-15. So, yeah, let's see. This is from 12-15. Who is injured? Okay, I just need to get a really quick thing. Isn't good variety. There could be help on the horizon from key members on the team as they prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals with 15. During Mike Tomlin's Tuesday press conference, he gave a recap of the team's injury situation heading into the AFC North divisional game. One where the team can clinch a divisional crown with a win at Cincinnati, which I feel like they will do. 7 players left the Steelers' Week 14 loss against the Bills Sunday night. NFL football, blah, 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 blah. Mike Phillips was placed in reserve, blah, blah, blah. Come on, just tell me. Suffer England, Terrell Edmonds, who's dealing with shoulder injury, and James Conner with the quad set. They don't even have James Conner, bro. How players overall availability, yeah. I mean, if they can just get healthy, man, I feel like I still like this Steelers team. But I'm going to put them at 8 for right now because they lost to Washington. Even though I like Washington, I think Washington's going to make some noise and going to win that division. You still lost to a team who's below 500. And then they turn around, they got their ass kicked by the Bills. So I think now you're at 8. You're not out of it. You're still a good team. You're still a top 10 team. You're my 8th best team, but you got to prove to me. You got to go ahead and beat the Bengals, man. Stomp these Bengals, and get yourself back on track. You lost 2 in a row after not winning 11 straight games. You now lost 2 in a row. My 7th place team is going to be the Rams. They stay where they're at. I'm going to keep the Rams at 7. They had a good showing against the Patriots, but the Patriots aren't really good either. They're one-dimensional. They kept the Patriots. I mean, they basically shut them out. They beat them 24-3. The Patriots are like a bad team, but they've got 6 wins, which is fucking incredible. The fact that Bill Belichick got 6 wins out of this horrible Patriots team, who offensively are just not good. They still got some pieces. They still are a great defense, though. I mean, even though they've kind of had some games that look bad. Seattle torched them. They've had some bad games, but the Rams are 9-4 in the toughest division in football, and I think they're a good team, but I haven't really seen much of them, and there are just other teams on this list that I like better than the Rams, except that's a lie, because I'm going to put the Bucs here at 7. And I was looking at this like, man, that can't be it. I'm putting the Bucs at 7. Instead, I'm going to move the Rams up to 6. They move up 1 spot to 6. The Bucs are going to be at 7. Man, they beat the Vikings, man. They beat the Vikings, which is a good thing. And I had the Bucs at 9, so the Bucs are moving up. They move up 2 spots to 7. They beat the Vikings, which I'm grateful for, because the fact that the Bucs beat the Vikings, that helped Green Bay clinch the NFC North and a playoff spot. Now they can in their number 1 seed now. They got to win out. They win out their number 1 seed. And that's all. I'm not even going to speak on what else could happen, because I'm going to focus on the positive. And the Bucs, they're playing good football. I think the Bucs are going to be in it. They're one of the teams that can make it to the NFC Championship game. And they've got some pieces on defense. The offense is loaded, maybe a little too loaded. They might have too many options on offense. And Tom Brady is the GOAT. He's pretty effing clutch. But I like the Rams. Their defense is solid. They've also got pieces on offense. And we got Sean McVay orchestrating that offense. Of all of the playoff quarterbacks, or all the quarterbacks on this list, though, I would say Goff is probably on the lower end of the list. You know, I'd probably put him just above Rivers and Baker, but then after that I put him beneath everyone, and maybe Ben. So the Rams 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think this is a good spot for the Rams. This is a good spot for them. Number 6 feels like a good spot for them. Cracking my top 5 now. Let's get on to the top 5. I'm going to drop. I kind of want to drop New Orleans. They got to drop them out the top spot. And I wanted to push the Bills up. But I had the Bills in 5th place. And after what I saw, what they did to Pittsburgh, just even though Pittsburgh is kind of hurt, Bills have lost, 3 games only. And I want to say they lost they lost, what are the Bills? I want to see the Bills games. Schedule. Can I get the whole thing? Why are you only giving me the last 2 games here? I want to get the Bills games, Bills schedule 2020, and see who they lost to. I want to see who they lost to. Who did the Bills lose to? They had an ugly loss in here. Tennessee, they got drubbed by the Tennessee Titans. And then they lost a close one to the Chiefs. And then they lost by 2 points to the Cardinals. And they've got Broncos, and I think they're going to win the rest of their games. And they're going to win the AFC East, right? This is the AFC East. Yeah, they're going to win the AFC East for the first time in forever, because the Patriots have won it since the beginning of time. All right, so I want to put the Bills up, but I don't know if I can put them up over any of these other teams. So I'm going to just keep the Bills. Shit, man. Where do the Bills belong? They're definitely a top 5 team. Hey, do you think which is the best football player in the world? Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar? I don't know, dude. You got some Arabic or what's this Hebrew naming the best football player in the world. Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar. I'll go with Messi. I don't know. I don't watch world football. I watch American football. We call it soccer here, but I think that's rude to call it soccer. Everyone else in the world calls it football. So I just say world football. That's world football, is where you kick the ball in between the nets. I watch American football where you throw it in between the hash marks. Okay? So I can't say, man, but I appreciate you for joining the stream. I'm talking power rankings right now. I'm trying to figure out where the Buffalo Bills, where I would place them. Where do I want to put the Buffalo Bills, man? You know, fuck. I'm going to just leave an asterisk. Now let's just try to go to the top here. I think you got to put Kansas. New Orleans is still the best team. Fuck it. New Orleans, I think they were looking forward to their matchup against Kansas City. I think New Orleans, they tripped up over the dead carcass, the left for dead, barely breathing carcass of the Philadelphia Eagles with the brand new quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who they couldn't really plan for. They had the dual threat thing going. They got a little too ahead of themselves. They were looking forward to the Kansas City game. They didn't have Drew Brees. Maybe Drew Brees will be back for Kansas City. Will Drew Brees be back for the Kansas City? Will Drew Brees return? When Drew Brees not ready to return? This is December 13th, so this is fucking old news. 2 days ago. I need something from the fucking right now. I need something from today. There's nothing for today on Drew Brees. I got to think, though, he wants to be out there and to play against Kansas City, and I'm hoping he does. But I still think New Orleans is the best team in the NFL. I'm going to say number 2, Kansas City. No, fuck that. Green Bay. Green Bay. And here's why. They have holes on defense that I don't think the New Orleans Saints have on defense. Even though you can say, well, Green Bay just beat Philly. Well, they didn't have to play. Jalen Hurts didn't play until the third or fourth quarter. And he was actually able to get the ball moving again and was able to make the game a lot closer. So there's that. All right? And ended up being, 16-30? But Jalen Hurts put in some work on the Packers when in relief of Wentz, and he made it close. So this kid, he's got some potential. New Orleans, I still think, without their starting quarterback, Drew Brees, Hall of Fame, I still think they're the best team with Drew Brees, and I feel like he will be back at some point in time. Now, if he's not going to be back, that changes everything. But I still think I like what they do on defense, and they have higher performance. They haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in 50 games. That's multiple seasons, people. They allowed 2 in one game. I don't see that happening again for the rest of the season. Maybe they will in the playoffs. It's a whole different beast. But, 50 fucking games, they haven't done it, okay? Green Bay, they're like the opposite end of the spectrum. They've probably gone now 50 games with allowing a 100-yard rusher or some shit. So it's the deficiencies that Green Bay have, I don't see the Saints having. But I think the Packers do have a better offense. And I do think the Packers have pieces on defense, but their own coordinator is going to be their downfall. So I'll give Green Bay the second best team in the league. I'll give that to them. They still got to prove it to me by beating the Titans and not letting Derrick Henry have a record-breaking day or playoff or all-time rushing yards day or something like that. And so number 3, I'm going to actually put my money where my mouth is. and take Buffalo at number 3. And most people might say, what? You're going to put Buffalo Bills at number 3 over Kansas City, over Green Bay, under Green Bay? Yes. Kansas City is going to be 4. Which means I'm missing a team. Who am I missing? Titans are 5. Yes. Tennessee. How you spell Tennessee? I don't fucking know. Chiefs. Anyways, Chiefs. Those are my top 10 teams. And look, I really like Buffalo. I like they have a good defense. Okay? They can get after the pass rusher. Josh Allen is really good. Diggs is explosive. They can run the ball. They're well coached. And I just think Buffalo they're gonna win that division. I think Buffalo has a really good chance because they can score points. Josh Allen is dynamic. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's playing well. He's not making mistakes. He's been accurate. Diggs can open the field up. They've got some other pieces. I don't know all their names, but they got some other pieces. They're a top offense. They're a top team in the NFL. Tennessee, they run the ball better than, maybe not statistically better than anybody, but I'd take I'll take Derrick Henry on any day. Okay, I really like Tannehill's game. They got Brown and Davis on the outside. Those dudes are studs. The defense leaves a lot to be desired. But I do think they have moments where they shine. So I like Tennessee. They can run game clock management. They can do the ground game. They can really control the clock, control the field, and they can stretch it with Davis and Brown and their quarterback down there. So I like Tennessee, man. Green Bay, they're 2. Kansas City, look, I've been saying it all year, man. I've been saying it all year. I really think as good as Kansas City is, as loaded as they are on offense, as good as much weapons they have on defense, I still think that they are vulnerable. And again, they almost lost to the Dolphins. They almost lost to the Chiefs. Now you're going to say almost doesn't only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but I'm a big eye test guy. And I think that Kansas City they turn the ball over. They turn the ball over. They're susceptible to turnovers. You know, Mahomes, he doesn't do it a lot, but I think he does it enough. They come out sometimes, they just like, I don't know. They just sort of lollygag a little bit and they just expect that they can flip the switch whenever they want to. But I think they're vulnerable. I think they're beatable, man. I think the Saints and the Buffalo and maybe I should put the Packers at, and I'm trying to be unbiased. And I feel like I'm so unbiased that I can be too hard, or I try so hard to be unbiased that I can be too hard on the Packers. But their numbers aren't that bad. They're literally like 11th or 12th in total defense. They're number 1 in offense, and they have talent. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, man. I'm going to have faith and put them at 2. New Orleans, to me, is still the best team. Buffalo, I like them. I like what they can do. I'm putting them at 3. Kansas City, they have a lot of talent. They have an abundance of talent, but they've also had a lot of games where I feel like they should have lost and they could have lost. So that means to me they're vulnerable. And I'm going to put them where I think they're going to be. I don't think they're making it back to the Super Bowl. I think they will lose to Tennessee or Buffalo, or maybe even the Steelers if they just play their ass off for one game. But I'm going to say right now, Buffalo or Tennessee are my favorites to come out of the AFC, unless maybe the Ravens just storm back into the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, he still looks off to me. He's regressed a little bit, but I think they should go back to running the ball more with Lamar Jackson, giving him wide open looks. And I feel like he's more comfortable. Get him comfortable and get him swagging in rhythm, running the ball, running the zone read, And then those passes, I think he's thinking a little too much when he's passing now, because they say he's not accurate. But he had coming out of college and last year he had a very pretty deep ball. He was accurate on those deep balls, and I feel like he hasn't had that. They get Andrews back last night, that helps, and now in 2 weeks in a row he's been balling. So maybe the Ravens kind of creep into this top 10 next week. We'll see. Yeah. Matter of fact, maybe the Ravens are already creeping in. Maybe the Colts drop out. Because I still like the Browns over the Colts, right? I like the Browns over the Colts. If they played, I would take the Browns. So maybe I bump. No, but I need to see one more week. I need to see one more week from this kid, Lamar Jackson. I need to see another week of Lamar, and then we'll see who they play this week. Lamar Jackson. They play the Jags. That's not going to tell me anything. Week 16. They play the Giants. That's not going to tell me anything either. Last week, game of the season, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens play. Where are they at? The Bengals. That's not going to tell me shit. So, look, but we'll see. If some of these other teams lose, if the Bucks lose or the Browns lose or Pittsburgh keeps losing, maybe the Ravens will get up in there. And right now, maybe I'm a little split. You know, we'll see. But right now, I've got Saints, Packers, Buffalo, Kansas City, Tennessee, Rams, Bucks, Pittsburgh, Browns, Colts. That's my top 10. That is the pedal stools of power on the What's Packin' Sports Show. Today is Monday, December 15th. Okay? We are now headed into the second hour of the show. Battery's about to die, so we're about to close out, man. I wanted to kind of touch on the NFC North. Do I have time to touch on the NFC North as a whole? And I think I do. So we're going to just talk a little bit of NFC North. Vikings, Lions, Bears. And the one thing I really want to say about the North is I wish the North was stronger. I want to see the North get better. The Packers, they won the NFC North 2 years in a row now. Matt LaFleur didn't get any votes or enough credit last year, I think, for being Coach of the Year. This year, I think that he could maybe get it. He could still be in the conversation, but I don't think. Last year, I think he definitely should have won it. This year, I don't know who it's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be him. I have to look at some of the other coaching jobs around the league, but maybe he should get it. Maybe he should get it. 2 back-to-back years of, let's say they finish out the season 13-3. 2 back-to-back years of 13-3. 2 back-to-back years of NFC North Championship. And you have the best offense in the league, which means you're probably maybe one of the best offensive minds in the league, calling plays, and then as such he calls the plays. So maybe Matt LaFleur does deserve to be in that conversation for Coach of the Year. I don't know. But the Lions, they fired their coach and GM. The Vikings, I'm not sure what they're going to do. They're kind of having a surge. They're surging now, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Bears are going to beat them in the last week of the game. They just lost the last week of the season. They just lost this, past Sunday. So I think the Vikings, they might get replaced by who? Who can replace the Vikings? Can we get the standings? Can we get the playoff picture? Yeah, right now they're at 8, so they're not even in it. So, yeah, I don't think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs. The Cardinals, Bucks, Seahawks, that looks about right to me. Cardinals, Bucks, Seahawks, Washington, Rams, Saints, Packers. That looks like the playoff picture to me. I don't see it changing. I think the orders might change. Maybe the Cardinals are able to kind of move up to the 5 seed. Maybe the Seahawks drop down to the 7 seed. The Bucks stay there. Maybe the Bucks move up to the 5 seed. But I don't see the Vikings getting in. I don't see anyone else getting in. So I think this is the playoffs for the NFC. The AFC is a lot more wide open because the Ravens are surging. The Raiders still have a shot, but it's also pretty much set too. But the 8th and 9th team have a better shot in the AFC than the 8th and 9th team to me in the NFC. So the Vikings, I don't know what they're gonna do, man. I don't really know what the Vikings are gonna do. The Bears, they need to fire Nagy. He's not getting it done. He made a stupid decision to pull Trubisky, and that's what really made me think about having this conversation of the NFC North, going around the North, is because I didn't agree with the Trubisky pull in the first place, honestly. I feel like they did bring in Foles. He's a veteran. He's got experience. He's won a championship. They brought him in to give him a chance to maybe win the job. He didn't really win it outright. And then after Trubisky was 4-0, he had one bad half of football after starting 4-0, and they yanked him. And now Foles comes back, wins that game. He looks like, oh, Big Dick Nick, as they like to call him, Big Nick energy or whatever. But then they fucking lose. I think that maybe they win one more game, right? They win one more game with him. Yeah, they won one more game with him. Or maybe that fourth game was when they pulled him. Maybe they pulled him the fourth game. Then they beat Tampa, and now they just beat someone this last week. And so it's like, okay, they got six. They won 6 games. But I didn't agree with the Mitch thing. And when I look at and Mitch won this game. Mitch is actually the guy who won this game. So it's like, and I was looking at the stats, and they say Mitch Trubisky has actually he's a better career record as a starter than Watson. Okay? And I don't believe that Mitch is like this world beater quarterback. I don't think Mitch is going to be like, I don't know. I don't think he's going to ever be all pro or nothing like that. But I think Mitchell Trubisky is good enough to be like a Tannehill, or good enough to be a guy that can win you games. He's mobile. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't understand why they would pull him, is because he gives you more to work with offensively than Foles does, who's basically a statue in the pocket. And yeah, Mitch might not be as accurate or whatever, but I feel like you have to go with the guy who makes your offense more dynamic and just gives you more to work with. And I think Nagy is just in over his head. He doesn't know what to do. Maybe he's lost faith in himself. He just doesn't like his quarterback situation, and I think the quarterback situation is bad, but it's not like you don't have anything to work with in Mitch Trubisky. So I think they're gonna fire Nagy. If I were them, I would bring in Salah, and then let Salah bring in a guy who can maybe coordinate that offense and just kind of be hands-on with Mitch and see if you can salvage that. The Bears have pieces on defense, man. They have pieces on defense. After this COVID shit is over, hopefully next season we back to just regular football, fans in the stands. They have another draft under their belt. They bring in Robert Saleh, the best defensive mind maybe in football right now. And they make themselves into a better team, a team that can contend for the NFC North next year. The Lions, I think they got some pieces too. Now they got less in the cupboard than the Bears, but they've got the second best quarterback in the league, in the division. I'd take Stafford over Cousins. They've got some pieces at running back. They got some pieces at receiver. Now they need to improve their defense. They really need to improve their defense. Who are they going to draft? Who are they going to bring in? Some people are saying Jim Harbaugh could leave Michigan. And they're saying Salah. I would like to see. I think Salah should go to the Bears. And Eric Bieniemy, but I already put Eric Bieniemy with the Jets, but he could come to the Lions. But I feel like the Jets might be better for him, man. You can stay in the AFC. You kind of know that conference a little bit. It's like a big city. You got a young quarterback. I don't know how much cap space they have. If I was a head coach, I would want to go somewhere with the most amount of pieces in place and cap space, the most amount of cap space. So I'm not sure how much cap space the Jets have. But, ooh, boy, I am about to wrap this up, man. I want to just say, I think the NFC North, it's got potential. Right now, the best conference in football is the NFC West, but the North has potential. The Lions, Vikings, and Bears all have something that you need for a playoff team. The Lions have a quarterback. The Vikings have a quarterback and pieces and a defense, but they're just missing something. They're missing something. They need a little bit more on defense, and I think they need a little bit more out of Kirk Cousins, to be honest with you. The Bears have the defense, and they need to improve the offense. But also, I think coaching and culture would really do a lot for the Bears. The Packers, they've got it all. They got the coach, they got the culture, they got the quarterback, they got the weapons, they got the weapons on defense. They need a better coordinator, though. The Packers need a better coordinator, but I think that they are going to be set for the next couple of years. Just fire Patton. I'm sorry, fire Patton, man. Get another guy in there. But with that, I'm gonna end on that note, man. We did a lot. We covered a lot today. This was a little bit different approach than I usually was going with. I went live for 2.5 hours, basically, just 4 minutes shy of 2.5 hours. I covered topics not just on the Packers, but around the league, different little things and thoughts that I've had that I wanted to talk about. So I hope I had some people come join the show. I want to say thank you to everybody who did join the show, who was in the chats. Get Stone Talk Sports. I don't know this Arabic name right here. I don't know who the heck that is. And I want to say, my man, there was someone else at the beginning, Samuel 12708. Thank you, from Brazil. So I'm international with it. Look, it's your boy God Chow, first of his name. You have been watching the What's Packin' Sports Show. Until next time, go Pack, go, and remember, always, the Bears still